Welcome back to the Nostalgia series. So to start this one off, we are going to be reviewing our rosters and then playing opening day. So between the last video and this one, I made 3 trades and that's it. So we have sent uh, Brandon Bielak, one of our acquisitions in the Astros deal, and Diomed Sierra, just a no-name pitching prospect, over to the Oakland Athletics for Dalton Jeffries, a starting pitching prospect I like quite a bit, and Miguel Diaz, who's a very nice reliever. We also sent Marshall Kosowski and Mylan Arroyo, just another no-name prospect to the Brewers. Kosowski didn't really have a spot in our roster, and I'm really thrilled with the return we got. Ryan Healy, who I had my eyes on last year, is going to be joining us. He'll be platooning with Pavin Smith for the first base or DH spot. I think it's the DH, but I'm not 100% certain. He absolutely crushes left-handed pitching, and he is a nice cheap option, so I was happy to get him. Thomas Jenkins is a solid pitching prospect. We'll have to see what happens with him. Alex Claudio absolutely crushes lefties as a reliever. He's going to be very difficult to hit. And we've got Corey Ray, who's going to be our starting center fielder this year. I'm really happy with the return. A lot of our prospects are just not developed, so I wanted to give Christian Pasha some gap time to get MLB ready. Corey Ray can absolutely provide that. He's not a bad option at all. I plugged him into Mops, had him at about a league average player, so that's pretty solid. I'm really happy about that return. And then we sent a lot of our spare pieces. So since we acquired Ryan Healy, we didn't really have a need for Wilmer Flores anymore, and a lot of teams valued him heavily. We also sent over Michael Kopech, who just didn't have a spot in our rotation at that point. Devin Williams, who a lot like Kosowski, just didn't really have a spot in our team. Uh, Enyer Ake, who is just a no-name prospect, and Andrew Vaughn, one of our top prospects, but kind of dispensable since he just was not that great, and we did get a very linear upgrade here to Alec Boehm, one of the premier hitters in this league at this point. Great fielder at first base, being very tall with good range and error. He can step into third if needed at times and crushes lefties and righties. So I'm very excited to see what we can have happen with Boehm. On the note of contracts, I have offered a few extensions, so we're going to take a look at those. One of them was actually to Boehm, so we've got an offer out to Boehm. 7 years at only a little less than 9 million AAV is a very good value. 8 years to Guillorme for a little less than 10 million AAV. I mean, this guy is one of the premier second basemen in the league. I'm thrilled to have him on that kind of contract. Healy, we're just given a 1-year contract to just keep him around for the next season at an affordable price. And Jacob Nix, who we acquired from the Padres, 5 years, 5 million a year. Just another one of those cheap mid-rotation starter contracts. He could be flipped in the middle of it. But anyways, that's it for our transactions. As for our roster, Shohei Ohtani will be our ace pitcher. Robert Gsellman's going to be our number 2 guy. Corbin Burns is going to step in at that third spot in the rotation. I'm actually going to have David Peterson be our 4th starter and Jacob Nix our 5th. Our closer is going to be Tsuyoshi Nakashima. We kind of expected this. He's just an all-around outstanding guy. Great movement control, solid stuff. Not the best personality, but not terrible. Ben Bowden will be our primary setup guy with very good stuff, solid movement and control. Alex Macias will be our secondary setup guy. Sterling Sharp is going to be our primary middle reliever, very quality all-around pitcher. Blake Searlin's going to stick around as a middle reliever. Ian Hamilton will be a middle reliever. Alex Claudio will also be a middle reliever, secondarily a specialist. Miguel Diaz is going to be stepping in as a long reliever, used as a middle reliever. And Sandy Alcantara will be, for now, a long reliever with middle relief secondary usage, but I do plan to get him into our rotation as soon as possible, likely involving the trade of Jacob Nix, who is my least favorite starter at the moment in our rotation. Our roster is currently going to have Austin Hedges as the starting catcher, Martin Maldonado as the backup, Alec Boehm as the first baseman, Ryan Healy backing him up. Luis Guillorme will start at second base, Nolan Arenado will start at third, Andrelton Simmons will start shortstop. Adini Heshavaria is going to back up all 3 of those infield positions. Chris Bryant will be our starting left fielder. Corey Ray will be our starting center fielder, and Shohei Ohtani will be our starting right fielder. Miles Straw will back up all 3 outfield positions. He's going to be starting pretty regularly since Shohei Ohtani will miss several games a week to be a pitcher. So it should be a good opportunity for Straw and his high on base skills to get into the lineup. Pavin Smith is going to be our starting DH, platooning with Ryan Healy. So Smith will start versus right-handed pitching. Healy will start versus left-handed pitching. That duo should be pretty good production. We have Smith batting leadoff versus right-handed pitching, and Healy batting actually sixth because our VL is incredibly loaded. So that's really the only major platoon is Smith and Healy. Just about everybody else is playing full time. We do have some movement around in the lineups, but that's not too important. And that's our roster. So also of note is I have claimed a large number of players off the waiver wire. You can see I've claimed Matt McGill, Robert Stevenson. I'm actually going to go to all players here. Abraham Almonte, Austin Barnes, Yandy Diaz, Jeffrey Ramirez, Christian Walker, Mason Williams. All of these guys are players that I think are either good enough to be useful inside our organization or players that I think we can trade for very good value. So with that, we're going to start our opening day game against the Padres here. Oh, I guess we kind of need to put Martin Maldonado on the 40-man roster. There we go. And now we can get started. So it looks like the starter for the San Diego Padres on opening day will be Chris Paddock. We currently have Shohei Ohtani slotted to go, but I would rather have him start in right field. So we are going to use somebody else as our starting pitcher. All right, Shohei Ohtani is going to move into right field here if I can actually get him there. There we go. And that means that we're going to use, I think, either Robert Gsellman or Corbin Burns. I think I like Corbin Burns' stamina a little bit more, so he will be our opening day pitcher here. And yeah, we'll see what we can do against this Padres lineup. All right, Pavin Smith is going to lead it off against Chris Paddock. First batter of the season. 1-1 count to Smith. Wind's blowing out to center, so hopefully we can get a little more offense than normal. And Smith will ground out for our first bat of the game. Ohtani 1-1, and that's going to be our first hit of the season. Shot into left center field all the way to the wall, and Ohtani's got his first extra base hit. I would try to steal, but Luis Torrens behind the plate has a pretty solid arm. Chris Paddock, the pitcher, actually his hold runners is kind of weak, but I'm still not going to chance it at this point. Nolan Arenado will be the batter, 2-2, and that's up the middle for our second hit of the year. Ohtani is going to stop at third base, and we'll have runners on the corners for Chris Bryant. 2-0 to Bryant, and he shoots it to the shortstop. They're going to get one and turn the double play, so we will not score a run. Corbin Burns, his first opponent will be Tommy Pham of the Padres, 2-1. Fly ball to deep right field. It's going to chase Ohtani back to the wall, but he's got it. Jake Cronenworth steps in. First ball in play here. Ground ball to the first baseman, and Alec Bohm has got it. Fernando Tatis Jr. is up. He's probably the most dangerous batter in this lineup. 2-1. Little pop fly and a nice 1-2-3 inning for Corbin Burns. Quick, efficient work, and we'll have Alec Bohm leading off the second. 1-0 count from Paddock. Pop up, foul ground, and a fly out to Manny Machado. We've got Luis Guillorme up, one of our big offseason acquisitions, and he will ground out to Tatis at short. Austin Hedges has a little bit of pop, 2-2, and he strikes out swinging. Manny Machado will be the first opponent for Corbin Burns in the inning, 2-1 count. That's a shot up the middle, and Machado has the Padres' first hit of the season. Trent Grisham steps in. He's a dangerous hitter. Full count and a walk. Enrique Hernandez now. This is not what you want to see. Not that Enrique Hernandez is a dangerous hitter, but 2 men on with no out. And Hernandez will bunt. Just barely in time is Bohm tossing it over to Guillorme for the out. I think we're going to intentionally walk Eric Hosmer here. We want to have the opportunity to prevent runs from scoring, and I think this is the best chance. So Torrens will step in. And a passed ball, or a wild pitch rather, by Corbin Burns is going to cost us a run. That is incredibly disappointing. Full count. Grounder. And a nice play by Guillorme will likely prevent a run. Now we got Michael Geddes up. Low contact, hopefully it shouldn't be too difficult for Burns to retire him. And he instead gives up a long home run. This is not how we pictured opening day going, but it is now a 4-0 lead for the San Diego Padres on top of a terrible second inning by Corbin Burns. 2-2, but he strikes out Pham, his first K of the game, to get out of the inning at long last. 0-2 to Ray, and he strikes out as he is very prone to do. Andrelton Simmons, our number 9 batter, 1-0. And a very athletic play by Chris Paddock will save a hit. Pavin Smith stands in. He shoots his first ball deep right center field, going back, but not deep enough, and that's going to be the end of the inning. Cronenworth will start this one off against Burns. 1-2 count. That's a shot into left center field, and an outstanding play by Corey Ray will save a hit. Fernando Tatis, 1-1. Shot to center. Should be an easy play for Ray out there. And now Manny Machado steps in. 1-0 count. To right field, and Ohtani is there to end the inning. Speaking of Ohtani, here he is to start this inning off. Full count, and he draws a walk. Ohtani has reached both times so far. Arenado, 2-2. He will pop it up, and that should be an easy out. Chris Bryant now, 0-1 count to Bryant. And he is hit by the pitch. We'll have 2 runners on for Alec Bohm. 1-1 to Bohm. Center field should be an easy out. And now we are going to have to rely on Guillorme to get a run in. Can it get over the second baseman's head? It will not. That's going to end it. You got Trent Grisham up now. 2-2 count. That's ripped up to center field, but another ridiculously athletic play by Corey Ray will save another hit. He's already at .7 zone runs through part of the first game. His rage factor is 8.1. He is just on fire defensively today. Full count from Burns, and that's going to be a double into right center field by Kike Hernandez. This is not how we wanted this game to go. Here's Eric Hosmer. Full count. And another walk issued by Burns, who has really struggled today. Torrens now, 2-2 count, and he strikes him out. Geddes, he homered his last time up to give the Padres their 4-0 lead as it stands. He'll ground out to Simba here to end the inning, but the damage has been done already, even with that inning going relatively clean. Austin Hedges, 1-0 count, he will ground out to the shortstop. Corey Ray, he's been the hero of the day defensively. 1-2 count, fly ball to left, and that's going to be an easy play. Simba, the number 9 hitter, full count. Pop-up should be an easy one for the second baseman, and we will fail to get another base runner as Paddock continues to shut us down. Tommy Pham, 2-2. He strikes out for the second time today. Jake Cronenworth. Oops. 1-2 to Cronenworth. And Burns is finally starting to settle in with 2 consecutive strikeouts. Fernando Tatis, first ball will be in play, ripped to left field, and an outstanding play by, who is it we've got in left field today? Chris Bryant. Not fully trained as Bryant, but he made a nice one there. Pavin Smith will be the first batter. 3-1 count. Ripped to the first baseman. That's his second out like that today. Ohtani has yet to be retired. 1-0 count. Ripped to deep center field, but it will be his first out of the game. And now our hands are on Arenado for the inning. 0-1 count. Hit hard to the shortstop, but that will be an out as we get Babbage to death today. Manny Machado. First ball in play. Fly ball to center field. Corey Ray should have no problem with that. Trent Grisham. 3-1. That's a shot into left field. A base hit for Grisham. Kike is up. He's already burned us today. That should be an easy play for Brian out there. And now we've got Hosmer. He has also been reached base every time. And a ground out to Burns as he gets out of the inning. Let's see how many pitches Burns is at. He's at 92, so you can at least start the next inning, but we're going to want to get a reliever hot. Bryant is up. First ball in play. Shot to the left. Should be an easy out. Alec Bohm is up now, full count. And he strikes out looking. All right, time to get a reliever up. I think we want somebody who needs to improve, somebody young. So let's get Ian Hamilton going. We're unlikely to win today. Guillorme, 0-1. And that's a ground out to the first baseman. Paddock has a shutout through 7 innings. This is not how we thought this day was going to go. Burns probably only has 1 or 2 batters left here. I'm not going to let him pitch the entire 7th. Ground ball to the second baseman, Guillorme, and he makes a nice play. Michael Geddes. This is going to be Burns' last batter of the day, 2-2, and he strikes him out. And it is time to bring in Ian Hamilton, who is going to complete the inning. Honestly, all things considered, it was not a terrible day for Burns. He just got really unlucky with all of the offense coming at once. And Hamilton issues a block to his first batter, Tommy Pham. Pham does have a good eye. 1-0 count to Cronenworth. Ground ball to Guillorme, who makes a nice play and will end the inning. Paddock is still out there, and Hedges is up. 1-2 count. Ground ball to the third baseman, and Hedges has an infield single. Of all the people to have an infield single, it's going to be Austin Hedges today. 1-1 to Corey Ray. Ground ball to the second baseman, and they will get him at third, or at second base, the lead runner, Hedges. Simba is up, 2-2. And he strikes out looking. Pavin Smith, 0-1 count. A ground ball to Machado, and another out as Paddock just steamrolls us through 8 innings. Only 4 strikeouts, and we only managed 3 hits. Just terrible BABIP luck on the day. Tatis, full count, and he walks against Hamilton, who is struggling with his control today. Machado, 2-1 count. It's 6-0 Padres on the Machado long ball. That brings up Grisham. Hamilton has been terrible today. We're going to get a new reliever up after this batter. 1-1 is a deep fly ball to center, but caught. All right, who else is young and can use work? Let's get Alcantara up. Probably should have done that earlier. Brought in Alcantara to finish the game. All right, Kike is up. 1-2 to him, and a strikeout for Hamilton. All right, Alcantara is warming up, so we'll visit the mound and then bring him in. Hosmer will be the batter. He's been a tough one today for us. 0-1. And that is going to be an out for Alcantara. It's going to be very difficult to get Alcantara out there again for the bottom of the 9th. But Ohtani is leading it off, and he's had a pretty good day so far. Hit by pitch, he will take his base. We got Arenado up now. A wild pitch advances Ohtani to second base. All right, we're going to do the old run and hit here. Arenado crushes left-handed pitching. Ohtani is safe at third base. It's 1-1 to Arenado now. 2-1 to Arenado. And a ground ball to Machado will be out. Arenado just has not had any luck today. Bryant, full count, and he strikes out swinging. Jose Castillo is not necessarily a very good guy. And another strikeout by Bohm as our offense flounders at the plate and our pitching just gets kind of hammered. All things considered, Burns wasn't terrible. He just got very unlucky in that 1 inning. Hamilton was terrible, though. I can't say anything good about Hamilton's performance. And the offense was just not good. We can't have this kind of BABIP luck. I mean, Bohm struck out way more than he should have. It wasn't pretty. We had some great defensive performances from Corey Ray, who almost collected a full zone run in 8 innings, which is just insane to think about. And Luis Guillorme, who collected only 0.1 zone runs, but was very effective overall. That was not the opening day we wanted to say. I wasn't particularly happy about it. Hopefully we get better going forwards, but that was disappointing. All right, we're going to keep simulating until our waiver claims go through. All right, we have acquired Mason Williams. He's going to go down to AAA. Oh, Adam Wainwright is with the Colorado Rockies, of all teams. All right, we've acquired Yandy Diaz. That's great. He's going to get demoted to AAA as well. Oh, evidently not. We're probably going to have to trade him in that case. Christian Walker's definitely getting traded. Jeffrey Ramirez. Oh, yeah, he's a prospect, I think, so we should be able to demote him. Yeah. Matt McGill, Robert Stevenson, Austin Barnes. Perfect. Austin Barnes is definitely one we're going to look at. All right, we're going to first ship around Abraham Almonte and Christian Walker, two of the guys that we definitely intend to trade. Hopefully we can get some good offers here. It looks like we're getting some pretty good offers. That's great news. Just getting something for nothing. Brent Honeywell Jr. would be a solid acquisition. Obviously, Albert Almora Jr. is always good to have, but not necessarily our best choice here. I love that we are being offered Tyler Mahle. At the worst, he's going to be an even better trade chip than the two guys that we're shopping. Zach Plezik is my favorite option at this point. I really like him. So we've got Plezik. Mercado's not terrible. Brett Conine. Jose Urquidy. Brad Keller's not bad. Kevin Crone. We could reacquire him, although I'm not interested. Franklin Colome. A top prospect is Franklin Colome. We would acquire him and likely send him to the minors. Rhys Hoskins is interesting. I'm surprised to see him come up. I'm sure he would get us really good return in trade. I think Hoskins has got to be, Braden Bishop. He is certainly an upgrade over Corey Ray in center field, but I also don't think we really need to upgrade over Corey Ray, especially with the performance he had on opening day. I mean, you can't really argue with that. So I think the option is going to be Rhys Hoskins here. We'll see if we can't get anything else from the Phillies while we're here, but likely going to just be Walker and Almonte for Hoskins, and then we trade Hoskins. Spencer Howard not looking as good as you'd like to see him. I think we're going to take a look at their prospects here. Investigate the possibility of draft picks even. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I think at this point we'll just see if we can get anything off Hoskins' contract and then complete the deal. All right, we can get 5% retained from Hoskins. So we're going to complete this deal and then shop Hoskins. We'll see if there's anyone DFA'd that we would like to shop with him. I think one of these relievers is probably an option. I could be interested in McGill, so let's do Stevenson. We can fully retain both of these in the initial shot because neither of them are particularly expensive, and it could get us a better offer. Ooh, I saw Marsh come up. Abraham Toro also looks really good here. So Toro's probably our worst case acquisition at this point, although I'm sure Marsh is going to be better. German Mercedes. Surprisingly good catcher defense. He's definitely not that good. Ian Happ, that's a surprising offer. This is a quality player, somebody we could at least get a very good return for, at worst play and use well. Antonio Senzatella is a quality starting pitcher. Monty Harrison, that's a solid offer. There's Jared Walsh. I actually don't see my guy there. Caleb Ferguson, there's a very good reliever. Julio Arias is a solid pitcher. Not great, but okay. Chad Green. very good reliever for the Yankees. Nick Birdie, very good reliever for the Pirates. Oh, there's Brandon Marsh. He's with the Padres. Very interesting. I'm not actually that interested in him. I'd probably go for Cronenworth over Marsh at this point. Cavan Biggio is also very interesting at second base. Certainly not our preferred second baseman, but I think we shortlist him and try to acquire him later. All right, who do we want out of these guys? This is a very difficult decision. Caleb Ferguson is, if we go for a reliever, it's going to be Ferguson. He is much younger and therefore more controllable than a lot of the other options. But I think it's almost gotta be Hap. Okay, well, it's also good that we can get away with not retaining any of these contracts. I wonder if the Cubs have anybody else we're interested in. Craig Kimbrell could actually be a very good deadline acquisition. They really want to get rid of him, and we could get some prospects likely in the trade or a draft pick or something. All right, we can get 5% off Hap's contract. So we'll do this. And then the next series is to shop Hap and somebody else away. So is there anyone here that we now... I guess Yandy Diaz, if he's got to be on the 40-man, can get shopped away. He's a solid hitter, but if we don't really have a spot for him in the organization, then he's got to go. Real Ruiz, interesting. Randy Arozarena, certainly not on the table at this point for an interesting player. Ooh, Nick Senzel from the Reds. That's a very good offer. Franmil Reyes. There's Senzatella again. Gohara. Kyle Tucker. Wow. Teams are really stepping up and offering big for Hap. Griffin Canning. Ross Stripling, I had my eye on as a possible starting pitcher acquisition earlier. Ramon Laureano. Seranthony Dominguez. Wow, the Phillies are willing to give him up to get Hap. Brian Reynolds. Cronenworth yet again. Paddock. Paddock is a very rare player to be offered. Mike Kistremski, he's on the trading block, so I guess I shouldn't be too surprised to see him out there. Dakota Hudson. Tommy Edman. There's Biggio again. Paddock is probably, it's gotta be Senzel from the Reds. He's just too good to pass up, in my opinion. Very quality hitter. Let's see if we can't get Joel Cunell in this trade. Yep, perfect. They've been offering up Molly. Maybe we can get him as well. Oh, we could absolutely add Molly. Although I don't want to do that unless we're getting... No, I would want to add somebody, just not necessarily Molly. As for our undervalued players here, I don't know. I think that we can probably just drop the retention and then complete the deal. Oops. Wanted an extra 0 in there. Cash is always the best way to complete a trade. Or top off a trade, rather. Very easy to add it in. Very valuable asset. Alright, there we go. So requiring a valuable hitter and a solid reliever. That's essentially the culmination of our waiver claims. Austin Barnes, I kind of prefer as a backup catcher to Martin Maldonado. But Martin Maldonado is not going to be tradable, so I think we're going to move Barnes. We'll shop him around, see what we can get. Austin Riley, that's a surprisingly good offer. It's going to be tough to top Riley. Christian Vazquez is very good. I just pronounced that really weird. It's Vazquez, not Vazquez. I'm not seeing anybody else too interesting here. I think it's almost got to be Austin Riley. Urquidy is good, but probably not going to top Riley for me, especially with a relative hitter shortage. There are a lot of good pitchers available, but hitters less so. Brett Kennedy, interesting. Archie Bradley, he really improved with the Cardinals. Reacquiring him would certainly be quite interesting. I think we're going to take a look into reacquiring Archie Bradley. I'm surprised they're willing to offer him up when most of the other offers we're getting are not too great, or high value at least. Yasiel De La Cruz really getting TCR'd and very valued by the Braves here, evidently. I don't know if there's any players here that we could afford to add that are worth adding. So we'll probably just get cash out of this. All right, we can get a good amount of cash out of this too. So as for the Cardinals deal, what is it with Archie Bradley that they're so willing to trade? They're actually not really so willing to trade him. Now we could give up Nix. I feel like his value could be much higher in this. So I think it's either what we get for Barnes or we're not getting Bradley. Is there any way we could get Riley without Barnes? Because I would like to add Riley. Okay, we can definitely add Riley. So we'll use Ryan Weiss to get Austin Riley and Austin Barnes to add Archie Bradley. Or maybe we could get somebody else even with Barnes from the Cardinals because they seem to value him pretty highly. Interesting that the Cardinals ended up signing Masahiro Tanaka here. I wonder if they've got any prospects that we would find interesting. Johan Oviedo. Actually, where's their center fielder? Harrison Bader. Could we hypothetically acquire Harrison Bader? I mean, if we wanted to give up Nick Senzel, that does not seem like a good decision at all. Now, it does beg the question, if Nick Senzel were on the table, what kind of things could we get from these Cardinals? So let's figure out what they really are valuing in terms of our players. Obviously, there's the factor of Wander Franco, but he's definitely not on the table. Okay, so they would literally give us a fully retained Colton Wong if that's something we decided to do. All right, who else do they really like? They like Horner, and he is in the minors, so he's not indispensable. Carter Kieboom would also be a great option to trade. We don't really need him around. And that makes acquiring Flaherty. Wow, they don't even need this much to acquire to give us Flaherty, it seems. So if we just get $1.5 million in this deal. Okay, so they do need Kieboom. Maybe they don't need Horner though, or Senzel. We could substitute somebody like Joe Ryan, but at that point, I think we just give up Horner. Or Jacob Nix, they also have him. But I mean, if we've got Guillorme and he's under control for a long time, I don't see the reason to not do that. I really do like Senzel, but I think it's almost a must trade at this point to get Flaherty. Flaherty is very good. What I'm gonna do is look around at some of our other pitchers, see if there's maybe somebody more controllable, cheaper or something that we can get, and then I will come back to you guys with the finalized trade. All right, well, we found our guy using the same players that we would have used to acquire Flaherty. We're instead going to be adding Alex Bregman, 75% retained by the Astros. So that's going to be sending Kieboom, Senzel, Barnes, and Horner over to the Astros. And Bregman is going to be a massive part of this organization. So the plan with him right now is we will trade. I'm taking Bryant, stick him in left field for this year, and then move him to second base to replace Guillorme full time at some point, where I think his range will play up nicely. Mops has him as nearly a 6 WAR player, so I'm really a 6 WAR hitter. So I'm really excited to see what he can do with our offense. I'm gonna figure this out, probably find a Bryant trade, and then come back. All right, so the trade that we are going to do, giving up Chris Bryant, is actually to acquire Jack Flaherty, who we were looking at earlier, as you guys remember. We are also going to be sending away Austin Riley, who appears to be a highly valuable trade chip, and Forrest Whitley, whose trade value I think is actually higher than he will ever be worth as a starting pitcher. And obviously, Flaherty is going to be an integral part of the rotation. We're going to try to get him extended long term if we can afford it. Um, and yeah, I'm happy with the return. I think this definitely benefits our team, so we're going to complete it. And I think I've got one other thing in the works, so I'll come back to you guys if I manage to get that completed. All right, our next acquisition is going to be Lucas Giulio from the Chicago White Sox. They seem to value all their players relatively evenly, which I think is pretty weird, but Giulio, who has 3 years of control left, is definitely at least a borderline ace caliber pitcher. We're going to be sending over a couple of our essentially MLB ready pitchers. Jacob Nix, who's in the rotation, Sean Hagel, who's basically in the rotation, and then Storm Fireholtz, who was one of our top draft picks in last year's draft, but they are overvaluing him in my opinion. Carson Tucker, another one of our top picks in last year's draft, also being overvalued. So we're getting Giolito and $1.5 billion. This is going to drop our total body significantly, but I definitely like the idea of having a high quality pitcher, another high quality pitcher. So this is really going to improve our rotation, having Giolito and Flaherty. These two guys are definitely going to be putting or relieving a lot of that pressure that was priorly on Shohei Ohtani to be the absolute ace. I think for now we're probably going to move Gisselman to the bullpen and likely trade one, two, or both of these guys at some point during the year. In the meantime, we're actually going to move Alcantara to the rotation because they're exhausted. So we're just going to set the game strategy to bench them for both 4 days, and then I'll move them to the rotation after that point once we've had our once through the rotation. So I definitely think our team is stronger at this point, especially on the pitching side. But I mean, adding Bregman to the hitting side is just going to be massive as well. I think our odds of winning the World Series have definitely gone significantly up after this series of moves. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on the team, see how it does. I actually might have another trade in the works because we have way too many relievers now, so we might dump some of them. Okay, so we actually will be acquiring Archie Bradley from the Cardinals. I'm not sure if he sticks on our roster or gets traded. We're sending over Matt McGill and Miguel Diaz, two relievers who are just not great. Not terrible, but not great, and don't really have a spot on the team. Archie Bradley will, if it comes to that, but we're going to have to figure something out. All right, we've got a series of trades here. So the first one is going to be acquiring Franklin Colome and a first round draft pick from the New York Mets. So we're also going to be getting some cash on this deal. This one is going to free up a lot of money, but it's also going to be kind of like we're giving up Archie Bradley, Josiah Gray, and Zach Thompson. They seem to overvalue Josiah Gray and Zach Thompson. They also are willing to give us more for Andrelton Simmons than any other team from what I've seen, as he was a very integral piece to make this happen. So we're going to replace Andrelton Simmons with Jose Iglesias from the Baltimore Orioles, giving up John Duplantier, who's a very good pitcher, but we just don't really have a spot for him in the organization, and I doubt we're going to get a better return. So the first thing we're going to do is complete this deal with the Mets and then finalize our deal with the Orioles. So obviously it sucks to lose Simmons, but at least we're getting a pretty quality shortstop to kind of mirror that move in Iglesias. Now, long term, of course, Wander Franco is going to come up, and we're going to move Arenado over to third base. So Iglesias might not even be with us for the entire year, but it's definitely a big plus for us overall, I think. So Iglesias is actually hurt right now, which means Chavarria is going to be starting a lot while he is. Actually, let's stick him on the injured list. And we're going to put, in the meantime, Bregman at third base. And we'll promote somebody from the minors to play left field. Probably, I'm thinking Luis Gonzalez is our best bet for that. He's relatively, he doesn't actually have training in left field, but I guess there are worse things we could do. We could promote John Jay. He would certainly be able to cover. Larnac's not trained, so he's not on the table. I'll figure this out. We'll see what happens here. Okay, I have decided that we are calling up Luis Gonzalez to play third base, or rather left field. Alex Bregman is going to step in at shortstop while we have Jose Iglesias out. When he comes back, he's going to take over at shortstop. Either mid-year at the end of the year, we're either going to let Iglesias walk in free agency, or we're going to trade him at the deadline and call up Franco to play third base. That's going to depend on what Franco's ratings are looking like. But right now, I'm going to say it's very likely that Iglesias is gone at the deadline and Franco's our third baseman down the stretch. Now, the next big thing I'm going to do here is try to figure out some extensions for Giulio and Flaherty. Either I can get them affordably in the long term, particularly Flaherty I would like to retain, or they're going to be big trade chips in the offseason for their primary goal. So we'll see about that. And I'm definitely thinking that our team is very strong at the moment. Definitely. Defensively, we're going to have to see how the offense does. I think that's going to be the key part on how far we go in the playoffs. All right, we've got an extension together for Jack Flaherty. He's going to be making about $22.5 million with a little less next year. Good amount going forwards. During his tenure. We're going to trade him at some point during the contract for sure. I think for now, Giulio is probably a trade chip. I really don't want to pay him too much extra. And obviously, Flaherty's going to be hitting the road at some point as well. I just think it's going to be a little less recent. I want to take a quick look and see if Giulio is really wanting a long-term extension. He's not, so there's really no reason for us to look to give him one right now. I think that's it for our major transactions, so we can hit the simulation button, and I will bring you guys back when we've got a major update. Disaster has struck. Shohei Ohtani, who is very important on both sides of the ball, is out 5 to 6 weeks with an elbow strain. The good news is Jose Iglesias is going to be back soon, but the bad news is now we need to replace Ohtani. So this basically means that Robert Gsellman is heading back to the rotation while Ohtani is hurt. Hopefully he can step in soon. And we're going to call up Judah Hill, who I've been keeping in the minors, partly for service time manipulations, partly because we didn't really need him urgently in the majors. And he will replace Ohtani in right field while he is hurt. So I'm confident we could get good production from these guys. It's just a shame to see Ohtani suffer an injury and is not a great sign for a player that we have extended on a massive contract over the course of 10 years. So we're going to have to hope that he can stay healthy going forwards. All right, well, we've got our first development update in here. A lot of green, except in places where we want it. Dave Peterson and Shohei Ohtani going down. Jack Flaherty going up is very good news. Pavin Smith going up is great. Corey Ray goes up just about across the board with the exception of his defense. That's a little discouraging. We have a lot of green on a lot of players we do really like, though. That's very good news. Yeah, I think that those are probably the most important players that we see there. I definitely think our team has turned it around. We are now at 18-8, only a half game behind the Dodgers for first place. Corey Ray, by the way, has been an offensive force to be reckoned with. The power has just been ridiculous so far. Obviously, he's striking out a lot, but that's what you'd expect. If he can keep this production up, that's going to be insane. Arenado has also been extremely exceptional on both sides of the ball. This is basically the level of production we'd expected out of him, and we're getting it, which is great news. Alex Bregman has been unstoppable since he came over. His on-base percentage through the roof. He's hitting for power. He's just been everything that we wanted him to be. He's training up in left field still, so we'll see how that goes. We are still 2 weeks away from getting Ohtani back. Looks like we got Wyatt Matheson back, another guy who was drafted in Rule 5. Yeah, he's not going on the 40-man roster, so we're going to waive him. And with that, I think we can go back to simulating. Actually, a few quick prospect notes here. Wander Franco has been ridiculous in AAA so far. He is just shredding the competition. I think the odds are very high at this point that he joins the majors at some point. And Cristian Pache also hitting very well. He is very close to getting a call up. But Corey Ray is, I mean, this is really going to depend. Can Pache keep this up? And if he does, will Corey Ray falter? If Corey Ray falters, Pache is getting the call. Another thing I want to draw everybody's attention to here is Daniel Montgomery. I totally forgot to mention him on the first video, but he is, for those who do not know, a second baseman in the 2020 draft pool for 2020 live starts in OTP 21. He has 90 outfield range, and his hitting is bad, but it's not awful. So he is the mother of all center fielders. You draft him in like the 25th, 30th round, and then you convert him to center field, and he just absolutely rakes. I put him into mops. He's a 2.5 WAR player, despite having like -4 B WAR. So he is definitely another option we have for center field. Always a safe bet to be a perennial Gold Glover. I mean, Pache is obviously going to be in that boat, but it's really just a question of how much is that extra offense from Pache worth to us, and that's something we will eventually have to decide. Also, Pache's trade value is going to be much higher, so that's another factor to consider. Anyways, I think the next thing we're going to have coming up here is the draft. That's in the relatively near future. If there's anything big that happens between now and then, obviously I will pull out of simulating and alert you guys, but otherwise that's the next thing on my radar. Okay, this is extremely notable. Daniel Montgomery has a 20-game hitting streak, or maybe it's even longer than that by now, riding in the A-level ball club. He's absolutely demolishing it offensively. If his hitting ratings climb, I think there's almost no doubt that he's going to be looking very good. Speaking of center fielders, Cristian Pache has basically hit his potential at this point and is still continuing. In fact, he's doing a better job of demolishing AAA than he was before. I think it's a matter of time before he gets called up at this point. We'll probably be moving Ray at some point during the year to make room. But yeah, Flaherty and Giulio are finally starting to really kick it into high gear in terms of their performance. Flaherty just won Pitcher of the Month, which is great. Ohtani is, of course, back from his injury by now. And Judah Hill has actually improved his ratings, which is another fantastic development for us. Those are the big ones for the time being. We might be making some moves with our pitching staff, possibly looking at some of our offense. By the way, just a random fact here, Austin Hedges was at one point among the league leaders in RBIs, which was hilarious. Jose Iglesias is actually performing really well, but again, even on pace for 4 WAR. Wander Franco's knocking on the door very strongly. I think right at this point, it's either until Franco gets trained up at third base a little more, or at the deadline, Iglesias is just gone. Him and Ray could be moved in the same deal. We're going to have to see where we go with that, but I'm really glad that we've had these guys as services. They've been awesome for both our offense and our defense, but it's definitely time to start calling out some more of our prospects. It's the first year player draft, but before we go in there, Daniel Montgomery just sealed his 25th consecutive game hit streak with a 3 for 5 performance. What the heck is going on here? Daniel Montgomery is raking in A ball. Anyways, time for the first year player draft. We have the first overall selection here. So let's see what we've got. I've been looking around, and Jack Leiter is almost certainly our pick here. He is just leaps and bounds better than every other player. But Brady House, I plugged him into Mops, and he's about a 5 WAR player. Now, the big thing is that we already have our third baseman in Wander Franco, so he really doesn't have a slot in our organization in the long run. He would be a trade chip, but he would be a really good trade chip. Jack Leiter would have a spot in our organization. He looks like a very low-risk pitcher with very strong upside. I think he could be definitely a mid or upper rotation guy, and he will stick with our team. It's just a matter of whether we think that the value from House's trade potential or Leiter's pitching potential is greater. And it's a very difficult decision for me, but I think we're going to have to go with Leiter's pitching potential. We're going to give him his full $8 million demand and see who's available with our next first-round draft pick. It looks like Christian Moore is going to be our best selection here. He's a two-way player. Not only is he a solid pitching potential guy, but he can play the outfield really well with good hitting potential. So one of the rare two-way guys. David Erickson's also pretty tempting at this point, but I think he'll probably be available at our next selection, whereas I really doubt that Christian Moore is. And actually, his demand is really large. Like, I don't know if we've got the cash to sign him. So that's going to kind of throw a wrench into what I'm thinking here. $5 million is a lot. Let's take a look at the batters left, see if there's anybody particularly. No, let's look at batting potential rather, and see if anybody stands out here. Wow, we've only got a handful of guys left with 55 contact potential. Jordan Lawler, first round draft pick, number 6 overall by the Diamondbacks in real life, is on that list. Brandon Smith is going to be a great guy to watch later as a potential reliever to first base conversion. He could be a solid hitter. Justin Quintana, the only other 55 contact guy, he actually looks solid. I honestly think Brandon Smith is the best hitter left in this draft class, which is really crazy. Tim Borden's not bad. Yeah, it's got to be Justin Quintana here. We could save some cash by signing him well under slot. All right, Matt Torino. I'm going to shortlist him. He could be an interesting option as a really high-eye player. We've got Joseph Calafute, another potential reliever to first base convert. He looks like a really outstanding hitter. We've got Max Costas, another pitcher to hitter convert. These guys are all low overalls and will likely last deep into the draft. I'm honestly not too interested in a lot of these hitters left, so we're going to look at pitching potential next. This is just sad. This is really pathetic. There's nobody left who's an even half decent pitcher. All right, on to fielding potential. Are there at least any good guys defensively left? Because everything else is already gone by. We're still in the first round, by the way. We are still in the first round. Okay, Connor Pavoloni is going to be a great pickup for us. Decent hitting catcher with 70 ability, rather. I like Matt Bosnielit. No idea how to pronounce his name, but he looks pretty solid. Jaden Melendez is always one of my go-to catcher pickups. I think those are going to be the big ones. Yeah, we're still in the first round here. We just have a load of first round draft picks, and literally all of the meaningful potentials are gone. Drew Baker looks solid. He could be a decent second baseman, solid on base abilities with a decent defense. Same goes for Cal Conley. Dorian Gonzalez, I have taken him before. He is solid. Rob Gordon, a lot of these infielders are actually not too bad. Mikey Perez, these guys have some chance at least of making a major league team in the future. Any center fielders? Robert Bell is really the only center field option here, and he does not look very good at all. Nowhere near the caliber of, say, Daniel Montgomery. All right, are there any great personalities? What the heck? Okay, well, for some reason, my personality filter got evaporated, so we're going to have to remake it here. Intelligence, work ethic, and leadership ability are the three I primarily look at. They're, in my opinion, the three most valuable when it comes to a prospect. We've got Davis Diaz. He's definitely a solid middle infielder, second base primarily prospect. Wyatt Hendry, not my favorite, but we can throw him on the short list. Jaden Melendez, obviously an awesome option, and Peter On, another probably super utility guy, if anything, maybe a outfield utility at some point. We're going to save the filter, and now we're going to look. David Erickson is still available, but I just really do not want to draft him. Kyle Whitten, I mean, he wants slot. It looks like he added a changeup to his arsenal. No, he had it from the beginning. He's just a really weird pitcher. What is slot here? He could actually be a worthwhile pickup. Okay, we can't afford slot, so what we want to do is we already want to start sorting by shortlisted guys and draft the players with really low demands. So in this case, that's going to be Cal Conley. And if that dude lasts much longer, then we draft him. We might also need to start looking at the possibility of trading away some players for cash on our major league team to increase our overall spendability in the draft. All right, at this point, $1.3 million. That's going to be, oh, he's already gone. Okay, well, that's fine. We kind of expected that. So Dorian Gonzalez is going to be our selection. I honestly think we're only going to go for the players that we've got shortlisted and then immediately switch over to draft or auto draft. Wow, a lot of the guys we had shortlisted just went all at once. That's bad. Okay, I still want to sign guys below slot, so probably Hendry here. I think we lost that guy with the 70 grade catcher ability too. Man, that really stings. I love how loads of the 2-star players are already getting drafted at this point in the draft because everybody is just so bad. Brandon Smith is very good. Kyle Food is very good. Costas is very good. I think we'll draft the 3 pitchers and then everybody else just to make sure we can get those impact or borderline impact hitters. All right, Peter On next, and then we can take Jaden Melendez, and last will be the other guy whose name I surely cannot pronounce. All right, and that's going to be it for our part of this draft. I don't really have anybody else I am pleading to acquire, so we'll take a look at our negotiations. I think we don't really need to worry about that. Yep, we're good, so we can go on to the International Amateur Signing Period. I also want to note that we have the signing cap disabled, or the hard cap disabled, so if we find somebody who's really awesome, we can go above the cap to sign them, and I will do that if we find somebody really, really good. Okay, I have decided that it is time to call up Cristian Pache. Corey Ray has really started to slip, and we can get some pretty good return for him. So here we're going to be trading him to the Texas Rangers to return Logan Webb rather, to the Diamondbacks. Now you'll recall that he was with us and we gave him to them for I think, yeah, it was Maximo Acosta in their first round draft pick, which was the pick that we essentially used to select Jack Leiter. So we are getting him back here for Ray. We're also getting $3.5 million, which is a nice little return. I'm going to be investigating a couple more trades here involving relievers and such, so we'll have to see what comes. I think we can get some nice returns. Okay, we got a deal here with the Giants for Mike Kistremski. I'm not sure if Kistremski is going to stay on our team or if he's going to be a trade chip yet, but he is a solid hitter with decent outfield defense. We're going to have to figure out what we're going to use him for. All right, we now have a deal with the Padres to acquire Jake Cronenworth. Once again, I think he's just being undervalued by them. I don't know if he's going to be like a utility infielder for us or if he's actually going to be a trade chip like Yastrzemski might be, but it's nice to pick him up. I think he's definitely a solid acquisition, and I'll figure something out with those two guys. All right, I've come to a conclusion. Cronenworth is going to replace Chavarria as our utility infielder. Chavarria and Yastrzemski, along with Sam Delaplane and Seth Ledge, are going to be heading over to the Los Angeles Angels for top 50 prospect Gabriel Arias, somebody we had our eyes on back when he was with the Padres. Their first round pick in next year's draft, and a good amount of cash. So overall, very solid return for a couple of players that we didn't really put too much stock in. And of course, getting that upgrade of having Cronenworth as our utility infielder, at least defensively, is going to be a nice little thing to have. And we'll have to see how he does. Logan Webb is going to slot into our bullpen for the time being. So I'm intrigued to see how he ends up performing and if he can add to his value. He could also be on the board as a potential replacement in the rotation should there be injury. I'm going to promote our top prospect, number 3 overall, well, our number 2 prospect and number 3 overall, Christian Pasha, to be our new center fielder. And we're going to send down a reliever. I'm thinking probably Colome. We could also release Cedarland. I'm not particularly happy with him. So I think that's what we'll do and call it Pasha to replace him. And I will pull you guys out at the International Amateur signing unless there's something more sooner than that we are going to have to cover. Well, with the latest player update, we've got a lot of good news, really. Pasha has improved his hitting abilities significantly, particularly his potential, which is great news for us going forwards as we hope to get him as a core player. I'm probably going to give him a long-term extension at this point. Lots of green from a lot of our players as well. We saw Leiter improve. We have a lot of great news overall. But the big bad news is Ohtani has essentially lost his ability to be a very quality pitcher. So I'm going to leave him in the rotation for now. But if we see him pitching, or if we don't see him starting to pitch, actually his stats as they are now are fine. But if he starts to fall off, he's done pitching. He's going to be right field exclusive. And he will definitely be right field exclusive starting next year because these ratings are just not very good. He'll be an emergency reliever and a right fielder. The velocity loss and the stamina loss really killed his value. So that's where I stand right now. We also might look to trade him if he proves that he's not valuable enough as a right field exclusive player, but I doubt that's going to happen. Anyways, we're coming up on the International Amateur signing. I think it's tomorrow, so I'm not going to bother pausing. Iglesias, by the way, has been ridiculous. He's on the batting average or the batting title leaderboard right now. His power has been solid, particularly the gap power. He's been getting on base a lot, and he's been very good defensively. He's been a very core piece of this team. Bregman is nearly fully trained in left field, which is great news, and his offense has been outstanding. Guillorme has just been an all-around great player. The defense is outstanding. The offense is outstanding. Arenado's underperformed since his extremely hot start to the year. Pavin Smith has just not really hit, which is ironic because his ratings keep going up. He is now just in my opinion, this is probably one of the best VR bats in the league, and he just cannot hit VR, which is almost exclusively what he's facing. Pasha has adapted really nice to the majors and has been about as successful as he was in the minors, which is great news. And I think Ryan Healy just continues to be an effective VL hitter. Now, of course, he's the short side of the platoon, but he's been awesome this year. He could be a good trade chip in the offseason as well. And even getting into only about half the games and starting about a third, he's been a great piece of the team, and I'm really happy we've had him. Definitely not necessarily better than what we could have had from um, Wilmer Flores, but a quality hitter, a very quality hitter. So we're just going to get up to the international free agent signing period. We'll take our guy, and then we're probably going to look at extending Pasha. All right, Lucas Giulio is not actually hurt. That's good news. How has he been doing lately? So he's been good in terms of WAR. His strikeout rate is very high. His walk rate is solid. His home run rate isn't terrible, but he just is not getting lucky. The 355 BABIP is probably the primary culprit there. All right, our midseason review of the goals. Very happy with the record. Well, our expectation was that we wouldn't suck completely, and we're running a 650 winning percentage. Yeah, no kidding. And yes, our profits increased. I mean, it's literally been 1 year since I took over. It's not super realistic that I can immediately make the drafted players reach the majors. Wander Franco's still number 1. Christian Pache still number 3. Jack Leiter's already the number 5 prospect in baseball. Judah Hill is the number 6 prospect in baseball. He's likely going to get a call up at some point. I'm not sure when. It could be in September. Probably sooner, though. We see a lot of, I'm guessing, scouting discoveries on the top 10 as well. Interesting. I'm also surprised to see Keston Herstad so high, and also find it ironic that the Orioles drafted him 2nd overall again. Our minor league system is definitely number 1. We're looking at a very good position right now, and I'm pretty happy for where we stand. Okay, let's take a look at the international amateurs. We've got Mario Angulo. Not a good personality. I'm not thrilled. And I don't like the 3 pitches either. Tyler Atwood looks awesome. The bat is great. The personality is great. This is the type of player I like to see. Nelson Noriega, not as good. Alex Sandoval is probably the best pure player in this class, but again, we've got a hitter shortage, and the low intelligence isn't particularly encouraging. Plus, he's borderline 3-pitch pitcher. Rodolfo Tovar is very good, though. I gotta admit, this power contact combination with the solid personality is very appealing. Ignacio Brito is very solid as well, though his defense isn't really going to cut it. Cuenca's not bad. Bob Diniz isn't bad. He's a very good on-base guy. Mario Mendez. Okay, I think what we're going to do is plug Tyler Atwood and Rodolfo Tovar into MOPS and see who comes out better. So I'll get back to you guys once I've got a final decision on who we're going with. I've decided we're going to go with Tyler Atwood. I do like Rodolfo Tovar's versatility. He can play corner outfield spots kind of competently and second base kind of competently, but ultimately I think Tyler Atwood has a slightly better bat and is more likely to reach his potential. So he is going to be our primary choice here. Hopefully we can sign him. And that's going to be our big thing. I think the next thing coming up is going to be the trade deadline. So if there's major news, that'll come obviously before then, but otherwise that is what we're looking at next. All right, we found a long-term extension that works with Pasha. We're going to be building up to about $15 million a year at the last 3 years of his contract. This is going to buy out the 6 years of team control we'd have after this season. So 2 years of pre-arb and 4 years of arbitration is my guess, and then 4 years of free agency. I think it's a solid deal. 10 million AAV is definitely very good for a prospect of this caliber. Also notable is that he's been absolutely raking since he came up. The home run power has really been there. I can see his bat definitely playing out much better than we expected it to at first. So that's something to keep our eyes on. Also, big shout out to Corbin Burns, who's been our best pitcher this year. He has a ERA floating around 3, and he's been extremely consistent throughout the year. Great strikeout, home run, and walk rates. Coming in slightly better than Flaherty as our number 1, which I'm very happy about. Dave Peterson also having a solid year at the bottom of the rotation. So, yeah. And I think that that was all we were planning on doing for now. So we'll reevaluate the team at the deadline and then see if we need to make any moves. We have added a major prospect to our organization. Our scout is starting to pay dividends as he discovers a hyper-talented minor leaguer in the Dominican Republic in Ivan Perez. This is a guy who could be a great OPS guy. Decent outfielder in the corners, could be a first baseman as well. Not entirely sure what he will end up doing, but what we can be sure of is he has very good potential, so definitely one to keep an eye on. Jack Flaherty was hurt, so I called up Yency Almonte and moved Robert Gisselman back to the rotation rather. And he had an excellent first start back in the rotation. He's been very good out of the bullpen, and of course he was great in the rotation when he was there earlier in the year. Pasha continues to hit well in the majors. He's just absolutely unstoppable at this point. The defense has been very solid too. And Alex Bregman, Corbin Burns, Jack Flaherty, and one other player were selected to the All-Star team for us. I'm not particularly happy about some of our performances here. I think Arenado's underperforming really, really badly, and it's really on my nerves. Alec Boehm, too. I mean, come on. These are guys that are supposed to be integral parts of our offense, and they can't hit 230. What am I supposed to do about that? Pavin Smith has arguably been even more frustrating. He is literally almost exclusively facing right-handers who he's supposed to absolutely be dominant against, and he can't hit them well. He's on pace for negative 1.3 WAR somehow. I literally don't know how that happened. Austin Hedges, in my opinion, so far, is hitting better than Alec Bowman, Nolan Arenado. I don't think I need to say much more than that. That's just stupid. Jose Iglesias has probably been the most consistent hitter on this team, which makes it more difficult that soon when Wander Franco gets called up, he's going to have to be traded. And frankly, Ohtani is on the chopping block. The primary reason, his pitching, but of course, he's also a right fielder, and we've got somebody very obvious and straightforward to replace him in Judah Hill. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Ohtani. I'm also really wanting to call up Cal Quantrill and have him start in the rotation. That can't really happen as long as we've got Shohei Ohtani there. I think probably when we get to roster expansion at the latest is when Cal Quantrill comes up and takes that spot in the rotation from Ohtani. Joe Ryan's also knocking on the door, so he's one we're going to want our eyes on. Elise Sanchez could come up for a cup of coffee maybe, but he's definitely going to be our backup catcher next year behind Hedges. Maldonado will absolutely be going into free agency. We're going to reassess our team at the deadline, see if there's anything we can add. Craig Kimbrell is going to be the big piece that we're looking at, but there could be other ones. And really, Kimbrell's coming over as like a salary addition, so we're probably getting more than just Kimbrell if we do pick him up. We managed to sign our first baseman for $3.5 million, so we're going to try to get Tony Tapia for $1.5 million or less. He is an outfielder, could be a utility outfielder in the future. I legitimately think with his current potential ratings, he has the ability to get to that point. Good work ethic, low greed is nice. Decent hitter overall. I think he would be a solid acquisition if we can grab him. And just a quick update on the team. We are currently at a .650 winning percentage, 7 games up on the Dodgers for first. The offense just has not really been there, but the defense definitely has. We've had our runs against be right where we expected it to be, and I'm really happy with a lot of our performances. Robert Gisselman had a rough game his last time out, which is a little disappointing. Lucas Giulio, I'm really hoping he could get that ERA down because he's been a very good pitcher otherwise. Ohtani is very much on the border of losing his spot in the rotation, and that would be permanent. Corbin Burns continues to be a very effective pitcher, and David Peterson is really starting to go on a run at the bottom. Our bullpen has been very good, particularly the back of it. Sterling Sharp is really starting to make a strong case that he should be in the rotation with his stats so far. Logan Webb has also been really good since we traded for him, so he could potentially go back into the rotation. Franklin Colome is definitely not one of the options at the moment. Bregman he's continuing to hit well, but it's all in the power and on base percentage. His batting average has been surprisingly low. I'd imagine our team-wide BABIP has just been awful. Let's take a look at that. I think that's batting stats too, it should be under. No, I don't see it here. All right, well, I will quickly just edit this view so we can see the BABIP. Oh, huh. All right, well, we're going to ignore it then. But I do definitely wish that we had our team not doing as bad as they are offensively. I mean, there are some guys on this team who are just not great hitters, okay? Austin Hedges is not a great hitter. He's okay at best. Jose Iglesias is not a great hitter, and he has been one of the best hitters on our team, which is stupid. Alex Bregman should be doing better. Shohei Ohtani should be doing much better. I mean, what is this, Ohtani? What are you doing? You're barely above league average. Nolan Arenado is a great hitter, and he's not hitting at all. Alec Boehm is a great hitter, and he's not hitting at all. Pavin Smith is a great hitter, and he's just been garbage. Christian Pasha is not a great hitter, and he's been one of the best hitters on our team. It's like everybody's stats just got inverted. Guillorme is not a great hitter, and he's been one of the best hitters on our team. I honestly don't know what to do about the offense. It's a problem, and hopefully they can turn it around. But anyways, on to the trade deadline, and we'll see if we can't get things going at that point. All right, we're making a pretty big acquisition from the Cubs for essentially nothing. Manuel Acosta, who's a literal nobody, Alex Claudio, one of our relievers, and Ranger Suarez, who just hasn't really found a spot in our or our organization, are going to go to the Cubs for Craig Kimbrell, fully retained. Now he does have a team option next year, but we'll just decline it so we don't have to pay him the $16 million, and he'll be a very big part of the bullpen this year. And Anthony Rizzo, who's going to replace Pavin Smith as the versus right DH. I have not been happy with Smith, so he's going to go down the minors and figure things out, while Rizzo will take his place for this year. It's a shame that we can't give Rizzo the qualifying offer because he would probably not accept it. And this is also, of course, going to really improve our fan interest. And Rizzo's a captain, so that should increase our chemistry even more than it already is. I mean, we've already got two other captains on the team with some leaders as well, but it never hurts to have another. So, as I said, Pavin Smith is going to be demoted. I just cannot stand the way he's been this year, and that will add an extra season of team control, which is the good news. Bohm is going to hit pretty high versus righties. I think right there is probably fine. And yeah, he won't be in the lineup versus lefties. But hey, you know what, Alec Boehm, you continue to struggle, and you could see yourself seated. And then you would see Rizzo in there full time. Now, Kimbrell's, of course, going to come in. And I think he's the new closer. And man, I just realized how insane Bowden's ratings have become. He's just absolutely a dominant pitcher. So that relegates Macias to middle relief. Kimbrell will close our games, and we'll demote Nakashima to a setup role, Bowden to a lower setup role. Now, this has nothing to do with our guys. It's just that Kimbrell is very good, and we can rely on him to lock games down, probably to an even greater extent. And we can, of course, still get great value out of Nakashima and Bowden in their respective new roles. Now, the only other big possibility is trading Iglesias at the deadline, although I find that unlikely. We would need a pretty good return for me to move him, and I would still like to see Franco train up a little bit more at third base, although he does continue to just absolutely rake in the minors with an insane doubles and triples total with a batting average over 400. So it's been a good year so far for him. We'll see if he keeps it up. And I'll see you guys next at the deadline, either with news of a trade or trades, or just to let you know we're not doing anything. We've got a prospect trade here. So Joe Ryan and Gabriel Arias are going to be going over to the Washington Nationals. Now, obviously, both of these guys are quality players, but neither of them really have a spot in our organization in the long run. And we're going to be getting Vinnie Quintanilla, who is my favorite hitting minor league prospect at this point. He has ridiculous contact ability, some decent power to go with it. And while the defense is probably not the best, he can certainly slot in at first base more than adequately. I'm definitely very thrilled to be adding him. We're also getting some cash in a 12th rounder, so a solid pickup here. I think we might have a few more trades going, but we'll have to see. Okay, well, Corbin Burns has been a player that we've had a lot offered to for, so I thought we kind of got to trade him. So when I got Pablo Lopez offered, I was a little bit surprised, but I think this is a pretty linear upgrade. We are also giving Jack Leiter up as the premier piece to get both Sixto Sanchez and Miguel Rojas. So while Sixto Sanchez is going to have a little less control than Leiter, and he's going to be out for all of next year with Tommy John, I think the talent difference is just huge. You're essentially 10 points different control. We're going to lock Sixto up long term after the end of the season, since he is young and extremely talented. And with his injury, he shouldn't be too expensive. So it sucks to give up Leiter. It really does. But this return, I think, is just way too much to pass up. Miguel Rojas is, in my opinion, marginally better than Jose Iglesias, so we will now be able to trade Iglesias as well. I'll find a deal for him there, but I am definitely really glad that we have the opportunity to add a shortstop of the caliber of Miguel Rojas as well. We have two trades here. The first one is definitely not what I expected to do with Iglesias, but we are going to be turning him and Miguel Rojas over to the Mets along with Bitch White for Andrelton Simmons, 100% retained. So they're going to be paying him all of this contract, including the player option years, to not be with them. We're also going to be sending over Craig Kimbrell to complete this and receiving a first, fifth, and 35th round selection in return for the closer. I cannot say it enough. I can't believe that the Mets are willing to make this deal. Andrelton Simmons is just insane value defensively, and I honestly don't think we could have gotten much better value. Our next trade is with the Seattle Mariners. We're sending three nobodies over for a 100% retained Marco Gonzalez. Now, he's a very solid pitcher. I don't know if he's going to end up in our team or not ever, but he is under Tommy John, and when he comes back, we have him pitch for a brief amount of time and then send him to another team. We're giving up Ben DeLuzio, a no-name outfielder. Franco Alaman is an okay starting pitcher, and Ryan January is a pretend catching prospect, so another ridiculous trade. I will be briefly sweeping the market a little bit more, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be it for our transactions here at the deadline. Okay, a few things here. First of all, Shohei Ohtani's pitching stats have really slipped, so he has officially lost his rotation spot and will never have the opportunity to win it back. I'm not sure if he's going to stick with our team throughout the duration of his contract, but he's not getting flipped at the deadline for certain. Hopefully, being a hitter exclusively, he can do better in that role. We have moved Sandy Alcantara to the rotation to replace him. I'm sure he'll occasionally get into games as a pitcher, like when he's taking an off day as a hitter, but I don't think it's very likely. This is our team as it's going to stand for the rest of the year. So we've got Hedges at catcher, Bohm at first, Guillorme at second, Arenado at third, Simba at short, Bregman, Pasha, Ohtani, and Rizzo. And our rotation is going to be Gesellman. Well, actually, obviously, we've got a couple of guys hurt. Flaherty, and I think Flaherty is really the only one who's going to be back this year. Sixto and Gonzalez are done for this year and most of next year. In Gonzalez's case, all of next year. In Sixto's case. So Flaherty's going to be back. That'll bump Alcantara back to the pen. Peterson, Lopez, Giulio, and Gesellman will be in our rotation for the rest of the year. In the playoffs, Peterson will probably be the guy that moves to the bullpen, although I could see it being Lopez since he has 3 pitches. He'll get a bigger boost. We'll have to see about that when we get there. And I think we are very well positioned to go for a deep playoff run at this point, so we'll have to see how it goes. All right, so Alec Boehm has just suffered an injury that's going to keep him out for 4 to 5 weeks. We're going to call it Pavin Smith to replace him. We could go with Judah Hill, but Pavin Smith's been raking in AAA, so I want to give him another opportunity in the majors, see how he does. Ryan Healy continues to be a good DH, but Rizzo has just not really performed since we acquired him. Hopefully that changes soon, but I'm not particularly hopeful, so uh, we will just watch it. And honestly, Healy, when he gets called up, might end up, or Hill, not Healy. Wow, I don't know how I got there. Might replace him as the DH VR. By the way, Daniel Montgomery update. He hasn't done well since he got demoted to or promoted to Double A, but he crushed High A as well. And I'm very, very happy about his already 90 positional rating in center. So as that continues to climb, we'll definitely have our eyes on him. And in that point, the next time we're going to update is at roster expansion, which is um, actually like 1 day away. So we're just going to simulate until that. So our roster expansion update, we are 5.5 games up at the Dodgers for the first place of the NL West. Looking pretty good for the season. I'm tempted to call up Wander Franco. I'm very tempted. He has reached his potential. Still needs a little bit of trading at third base, but he is just crushing the competition in AAA. And Arenado has been very disappointing, so we could call him up and play him VR, is what we would do if we decided to make that move. He would also back up shortstop for Simba. It's tempting. It's very tempting. Judah Hill is going to come up. That's a no-brainer. Ian Hamilton is the other guy I wanted to call up. As much as I would love to bring up Franco, I think we're going to leave him in the minors for the year and then manipulate his service time. Although I gotta say, he absolutely deserves to be called up. He is just at a point where you cannot stop him. So as for Hill, for the time, I'm going to have him back up right field and left field. Miles Straw will continue to back up center. I think we're going to have him... No, we're going to just let Hill back up. And I think we're actually going to do is let Bregman back up third base and shortstop. Yeah, so he can get to positions he's more comfortable with more frequently. Miles Straw will be the secondary backup for center, and this is what we'll do for the time. I'll just copy the depth chart and then fix it. All right, so here we want Pasha hitting higher. That's one thing. Frankly, yeah, I think this is actually fine. Maybe we don't have Pasha hit over Otani yet. I think we'll leave it as it is for now. Okay, we'll see how this works. And we're going to, yeah, we already put Ian Hamilton into middle relief. That's where I do plan to use him for the time. All right, let's see our team finish strong here. So I'll check in on you guys for the playoffs. This is definitely notable enough to pull you guys in. Giulio goes 8.2, strikes out 9 guys, comes back his next outing, goes 8 innings, strikes out 15, and then completes his game, striking out 17 batters. This is an incredible run. He's definitely on fire and is currently our distant pitcher war leader. Jack Flaherty is still finding his groove since coming off the injured list, although he did just have a very nice start against the Mariners, so we'll see him continue to build off of that, hopefully. Nolan Arenado appears to be hitting at long last, and Alex Bregman continues to be a successful hitter. And it looks like we're finishing the year strong, although the Dodgers are too. They're now only 3 games out of the NL West title, so it's going to be a very tight race down the stretch. All right, we're going to give Judah Hill a long-term extension. Going to pay him up to $15 million the last couple of years, and it's going to be a little bit more or a little bit less than $11.5 million average annual value. Hopefully, he can live up to the value of that contract. Otherwise, we're going to trade him, but I have hopes. So we'll see how that goes. And I think that's the last move we're making before the playoffs. All right, we have made the playoffs. So of note, I think Lucas Giulio has a very good chance to win the Cy Young. He had an outstanding season. But anyways, as for our roster, Flaherty, Giulio, Lopez, and Gisselman are going to be our rotation. I'm really happy with these guys. I think we can definitely rely on them to give us some quality innings. Our bullpen is going to stand like this. Ohtani's probably not going to pitch. By the way, he did have a much better half after he stopped pitching, so that gives me some hope for what he could do in the future. Bregman, Ohtani, Arenado, Rizzo, Bohm, Pasha, Guillorme, Hedges, and Simba are going to be our primary lineup. We'll have to see how that group does. And with that, we're going to head on to the playoffs, simulate the first elimination game that we get into, and see if we can't win a World Series here. Mets go up 1-0, but it looks like we took that back. So we are now, and we lost. So I can't believe that the very first series is where we're going to have our first elimination game. That's kind of disappointing. So Jack Flaherty's going to pitch here for us against Noah Syndergaard. This is going to be an interesting matchup. We could put Giolito in there, but I think we're going to go with Flaherty. I'm considering using Ben Bowden as an opener. Certainly tempted to do it. David Peterson is too tired to be an opener, I think. And I think we're just going to run our primary lineup here. Although, you know what? Oh man, Syndergaard is really good. It's going to be very difficult to win, I think. Judah Hill has got to be in the lineup. We can't afford to leave a hitter this good out. So Anthony Rizzo, who's in a very serious slump, is going to be pulled so Hill can join if we need to. Rizzo is available as a pinch hitter. And with that, we're going to get started. Ahmed Rosario is going to lead it off against Flaherty. 1-1 count here. We'll hope that Flaherty can pitch a quality game for us and put us in a good position to win. Arenado throws him out, and that'll be the first out here. Brandon Nimmo's next, 1-0 count. Fly ball left or right center field. That's going to be in the gap for at least a double. This is not what we wanted to see. Dom Smith is up. He's a very dangerous hitter. 2-2 from Flaherty, and he strikes him out. That was a very good strikeout there. Alonso also very dangerous. 2-2, and another strikeout from Flaherty, getting 2 very dangerous hitters on 2 very critical pitches. Bregman will lead it off for us, full count. Here's the pitch from Syndergaard, and it is skied. Should be an easy play for, I think that's Rosario at second. We've got Ohtani up now, 3-1 to Ohtani, and he draws a walk. Neither Syndergaard does not have good hold runners, and Wilson Ramos definitely does not have a strong arm, so we're going to have Ohtani try to steal second base here with Arenado at the plate. That's skied, however, and caught by McNeil. That's going to prevent Ohtani from advancing. We've got Judah Hill up. We're going to try to have Ohtani steal again. And he takes off for second. He's in there. And the ball is going to fly into center field. Ohtani will score on any hit here from Hill. 1-2. Up the middle, and Judah Hill scores our first run. That is very crucial. with Flaherty on the mound and Syndergaard for them, it's going to be a very low-scoring affair. That's a single for Bohm. Hill is going to head for third, and we'll have runners on the corners for Pasha with 2 outs. 1-2 to Pasha, and he strikes out swinging, so that'll be it for the inning, but it was a very good inning for us. McNeil stands in against Flaherty, 2-0 count. And that is caught by Flaherty, an outstanding play by the pitcher. J.D. Davis, 1-2 count. And that's ripped down the right field line. The second extra base hit for the Mets of the game. Michael Conforto, man, this lineup is just dangerous all the way through. No wonder they've been so successful. 2-2 to Conforto. And he strikes out looking. Wilson Ramos, yet another dangerous hitter from this Mets lineup. Not a good catcher, but a very dangerous hitter. 0-2, and he strikes out as well. Flaherty kicking it with the strikeouts. Guillorme is up, full count. He is a very good on-base hitter. Good at driving into these high pitch count totals, but he will ground out to Rosario here. Austin Hedges, not very much of a threat, but he will single into left field. Hedges is going to be our first base runner in the inning. Simba is up, our number 9 hitter. 2-1, a little chopper to the shortstop, and it's going to be thrown out at first base, but Hedges will advance to second for Alex Bregman. 2-2, ground ball to the shortstop, Rojas, and that will end the inning. Speaking of Rojas, here he is to lead this one off. The number 9 hitter, he's a very dangerous number 9 hitter. An outstanding play by Luis Guillorme will save a hit. Ahmed Rosario, full count. He strikes out swinging. Brandon Nimmo, 1-2. And he strikes out swinging. Flaherty's got 2 strikeouts in every inning. We've got Shohei Ohtani leading off here. 1-0 count. He had an outstanding second half, but he will fly out to the left fielder here. Arenado, 0-2. He will fly out to, it looks like that's going to be Rojas. And here's Judah Hill. 0-1 count to Hill. That's up the middle. Rojas has it, and he'll throw him out. Dom Smith is up. Dangerous hitter, full count. And Flaherty strikes him out. Pete Alonso. Full count to Alonso. That's ripped down the gap. Their third base hit or extra base hit of the game. Pasha just lets Bregman wander over to it despite being far rangier for some weird reason. McNeil is up, very dangerous hitter here. 2-0, and that's up the middle for a single. I was worried about this. Pasha is going to get it in quickly, and Alonso will not score, but this is not looking good. Flaherty's in some trouble here. 1-0 to Davis. And that's a single into left field. They just keep falling. Flaherty's getting killed by the BABIP today. He's striking out just about everyone he's facing, but just about everyone who doesn't strike out is getting a hit. 1-2 to Conforto, and there's another strikeout. Wilson Ramos, 0-2. Chopper to the shortstop. Simba has it, and he will throw out the runner at second, but it is too late. The Mets have tied it up. Bohm now, 1-2 count. Chopper to right, that should be an easy play. Pasha steps in, 1-0 count. That's a grounder to the first baseman, and Pasha can't beat it out for a single as Syndergaard covers. 1-2 to Guillorme. Guillorme strikes out? Flaherty back up on the mound. 1-0 count to Miguel Rojas. That's up the middle. Simba's got it, and he'll throw him out at first base. Ahmed Rosario, 1-1 count. Rocketed up the middle, but Pasha with an outstanding play will save a hit. Brandon Nimmo, 1-2 count. And a chopper to second base. Nice play there by Guillorme. Flaherty's probably got another inning left in him, so I'll send him out at least to start the next one. Hedges is up. That is skied to center, but it should be an easy play out there. Simba stepping in. First ball in play. Grounder to the third baseman, and he will be thrown out. Bregman, 1-2 count. Grounder to the third baseman, and he will also be thrown out. BABIP really is killing us today. 0-2 to Flaherty, and Dom Smith strikes out swinging. Pete Alonso. 2-2 to Alonso. Up the middle, and Pasha has it. McNeil. 3-1. Please don't walk him, Flaherty. That is fly ball to center field, and Flaherty is going to leave this game having pitched very well. Tie game, though. And I think this situation calls for... I'm going to say... we've got the lefties coming up later, so let's say Wyatt Mills. Shohei, 2-2. Chopper to the second baseman, and they make the play. Nolan Arenado, 1-0 count. Fly ball to left, that's going to be an easy play once again. And Judah Hill, first ball in play. A grounder to the first baseman, and we just cannot seem to get hits on balls in play today. That's been certainly a theme throughout the year where we have struggled on balls in play. J.D. Davis, low avoid Ks. I'm going to let Flaherty face him, but this will be his last batter. 1-2 count. And a strikeout. Flaherty ends his day on a strong note. Wyatt Mills is going to come in, and he will face Michael Conforto. 3-1. Please do not walk him, Mills. I don't think Flaherty walked a single batter, and here Wyatt Mills is walking his first. Wilson Ramos, 2-1 count. Hopefully a double play here. And he hits him. Come on, Mills, find the control, dude. Andres Jimenez is going to pinch hit here. Full count. Do not walk him. Thank you. Ground ball to Arenado. And Yorme cannot turn the double play. Josh Naylor is going to pinch hit as well. 2-2 count. Please get the strikeout, Mills. Fly ball to left will do as well, and that's going to end the inning here for the Mets. I'm going to get Ben Bowden hot in the bullpen. Those pinch hitters will weaken the defense for the Mets. We now have Jimenez at shortstop rather than Rojas and Cano at second. Neither of those guys are anywhere on par with what we had there before. 0-2 to Alec Boehm, and he strikes out looking. Pasha, 0-2. Strikes, nope, he grounds it up to the second baseman, and that's going to be an out. Yorme, 1-2 count. Fly ball to left field, and we just cannot get hits on balls in play. We just can't. Ben Bowden is going to come in, replacing Wyatt Mills. He should have absolutely no problem dispensing of Nimmo. 1-2 count. And he gets the strikeout. Dom Smith, much less dangerous versus left-handed pitching. 1-2 count. Back-to-back strikeouts for Bowden. Pete Alonso absolutely mashes left-handed pitching. But the good news is his weakest stat there is avoid Ks, and that's exactly where Bowden succeeds. But he's going to rocket this one down the left field line for a base hit. Bregman tries to hustle it in, but that's a double for Pete Alonso. Jeff McNeil is slightly weaker versus lefties, so hopefully Bowden can neutralize him a little bit. And a pop fly should be fielded by Guillorme, and that will end the inning. Bowden could probably head out for the next one, so that's good news. Edwin Diaz is going to come in for the New York Mets. He has a very high strikeout rate, and that's not good news for Austin Hedges, who has a very high strikeout rate as well. And there's the strikeout. Simba, 1-0 count. This will be in play. That's good news. Well, maybe not because, you know, we can't get hits on balls in play. And that problem will continue there with that fly out. 2-2 to Bregman. He strikes out looking. That's not going to do. J.D. Davis will lead this one off against Bowden. 0-2 count. And he strikes him out. Michael Conforto. 0-2. He strikes him out. Bowden is on fire today. Wilson Ramos a little more dangerous against lefties. Full count. Come on, Bowden. And he gets the ground out to Simba. That'll end the inning, and the Mets will be scoreless. All right, I'm going to get Nashikima up. I might leave Bowden in for a few more batters since all the guys coming up are lefties, but I don't want to risk it with low stamina. Shohei will lead it off against Diaz. Full count. And he strikes out swinging. Come on, we can't strike out here. 2-2 to Arenado. Rocketed. Deep center field. Going back, and Arenado walks it off. About time he did something for the offense. That was just not pretty. Only 6 strikeouts during the game, and we only managed to record 4 hits, one of which was the Arenado walk-off home run. I would have liked a little bit more offense there. Flaherty pitched an outstanding game. His defense kind of let him down there, but Wyatt Mills was terrible. Bowden came in and absolutely locked it down for us, so that was a nice win for us against the Mets. All right, and now we got a series against the Dodgers in the championship. Hopefully, Giulio can pitch a good game 1, and we can, but we lose game 2. We win game 3, 3-3. It's tied, and we get beat by the Dodgers. You got to be kidding me. Fuck the Dodgers. Worst team there is. We beat them in the regular season, but they returned the favor in the playoffs. The stupid Dodgers team. I cannot overstate how freaking overrated Cody Bellinger is in every single version of OTP. This is just stupid. This is stupid. The guy's below the Mendoza line. Okay, you know what? Dodgers are Todd Frazier at third base, Carson Kelly batting below the Mendoza line, Jacob Amaya at shortstop. How is this team winning games? How is Chris Taylor a 4.5 WAR player? Oh my goodness, I hate the Dodgers so much. Please win the World Series, Twins. And the Dodgers win the World Series. Nothing more frustrating than that ending to the season. I feel like we've already got the league dominated 2 years in, and we just couldn't pull off the playoff success. That's extremely frustrating. All right, Arenado is going to stick with us. Hopefully he could do better going in the future. All right, fan loyalty increases. That's great news. Great news for the team. Our budget is up to 186 million. Yeah, we're looking at very high fan loyalty now. That's good for our money going forwards. Martin Maldonado retires. Wander Franco is still the #1 overall prospect. Jack Leiter is up to 3rd. Rodolfo Tovar, that guy that we did not sign, is #2 with the Giants. Brady House steps in at #6 for the Giants as well. Joda Hill is going to be #8. Nick Stortz is a top prospect? Okay, we might actually try to trade for him. He's not a first baseman, that's for sure. Our farm still ranks #1. I'm not entirely sure what direction we're going to go in the off season here. Let's see who's in arbitration. Giulio, Lopez, Alcantara. All of these guys are going to stick around. Our owner instructed us to sign Rizzo to an extension, so I'll just see what he wants. Yeah, not giving him that much money, that's for sure. Ooh, Carlos Tocci needs to be protected for sure. And we need to make some money. We do not have enough money for our team next year, so somebody's gonna have to go. Oh, right. Well, first of all, our scouting budget could be reduced back to 4 million. How is it that our payroll is going down and yet our projected money is not where it should be? Oh, actually we have 8 million for extensions, it seems, on top of the money that we have for arbitration estimates. Okay, well, I think that's going to be it for this one. Uh, I don't expect there to be many major moves in the offseason. If I come to a point where I do, then I'll just start next video in the offseason. If not, then we're going to begin it in spring training. All future videos for this series are going to go back to the standard half season at a time, since 2 hours seems very excessive. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.